Hello and welcome to Season 3, Episode 21 of the Gospelovergimmicks podcast. Today we're going to be doing a biography of AW Tozer. Let's get after it. Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of the Gospelovergimmicks podcast. I'm your host, Registrar Norman, and I'm going to be telling you everything I know and some things I highly suspect. And I forgot to get my coffee, so I'm going to be right back. Got coffee now. We're good to go. Of course, my allergies are going to start bothering me now that it's recording time. Today we're going to do a biography of AW Tozer. The Bible study episode taking a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. Things happen, you know. You got responsibilities. You got responsibilities in life, and you got to do those responsibilities. And sometimes stuff just gets pushed off, you know. Just gets pushed off. So I figured we would do a biography episode because those are not hard for me to put together, and that way I can take that time I would have used preparing and editing, because this will probably be kind of short. Maybe every time I say that it ends up not being short, but and then I can put all that effort into the Bible study, continuing on. Got a 3-day weekend, so I'll have time to work on it. And I actually already got verses 1 through 15 done last night, so we're already off to a good start. But we'll just do this simple one this week and get into the Bible study and whatnot next week, and the Bible giveaway too. But talk about that in a second. Before we get into that, another thing we're going to do is we're going to not play the context game. Y'all know we used to do some episodes called the context game, where I talked about particular verses that people like to use out of context. So we're going to kind of do that today, but it's not going to be like long. It's just going to be kind of short. We'll discuss that later. But before we get into that, how are y'all doing? Y'all know I ask every week. You ought to be prepared by now to answer. I should have got a Mountain Dew, but I didn't. But I asked every week, how are y'all doing? So, and I'm assuming, even though I can't hear you, I'm assuming you're answering. But, you know, I don't know, because I can't hear. Can't hear you over there. I hope y'all have a good Memorial Day for those of you that live in the States. I don't think I need to tell you what it's all about. You know, people on Facebook, they feel like they have to post memes and whatnot to let you know what it's all about. We all know what it's all about. It's about honoring our veterans that died defending our freedom. We all know that. But what I would ask you to do is, if you got kids, try to do something this weekend to teach them, you know, why we celebrate, why we observe Veterans Day. My buddy, I don't remember if it was last year or year before or whatnot, he's a veteran, and he took his kids. We have a national cemetery here in Jacksonville. It's not old either, it's only been there like 10 years, but he took his kids to the national cemetery whenever that was. So do something to educate your kids on why it is we observe Memorial Day. And because don't expect the school to do it. That's a lot of parents have that problem. They send their kids off to school expecting the school to do certain things and whatnot like they did when y'all were a kid. They don't do things necessarily like that no more. So, you know, take your part. It's your job to teach your kid anyway. It ain't their job. Been a while since we saw this bad boy, the old gospelovergimmicks coffee mug, and I would take a sip. I'll try it. But I did just pour that in there, so it's pretty hot. Been a while since we've seen that, but it's already in the 90s here in Florida, and it's not even summer yet. Like summer, still got a month. Still got a month till summer starts, and it's already in the 90s. It's supposed to be 100 Monday, I believe. And so that kind of heat, as you would expect, kind of curbs my appetite for coffee a little bit. Like I said, the Acts 2 Bible study, Acts chapter 2 Bible study, we'll be doing a week from today. I'm recording this on Friday, but when you see it, it'll be Monday. So a week from today, the Bible study video will be going up. That'll be great. It's the last one of season 3. Last one of season 3. And if I'm not mistaken, yes, we'll be opening season 4 with a Bible study. So start thinking about what you would like to see. What would you like to see me do? So that way when I put the contest up, you'll be ready. You'll be ready for it. The Bible giveaway also starts a week from today. Now, what was going to happen was the Bible study episode was going to be today, and it was going to be long, because that's how Bible study episodes are. They're usually long. And not to mention Acts 2 has like a bajillion verses in it. But since we're pushing that off, you remember last time I did this. I did the Bible study episode and I did the Bible giveaway in the same episode, and that just made it really like almost an hour long. So for the sake of time next week, instead of me going through everything I'm giving away like it's a Bible review and telling you all about it, I'm basically just going to show you what it is, maybe give you a little information on it, and then we'll move along, you know, because I'm giving away 3 different things at one time, and I don't want to sit there and go through every one of them telling you about them. Besides, I have reviews already on 2 of them on the channel if you want to go back and watch them. But so we'll just do that. I'll tell you what I'm giving away, and we'll go from there. So that way when we do the Bible study, it won't be like ridiculously long, because I spent like 10 minutes telling you about what I'm giving away and then like another 40, 50 on the study. So, you know, for the sake of time. And that's all I got for the opening segment there. So we'll just go ahead and jump into the first little tidbit, shedding some light, some context on this verse in the Bible. What is it? It is 2 Chronicles 7:14. Make it happen. So as you can see, still using the old Thomas Nelson Premier KJV. Still love this thing. I did kind of do something to the cover the other day, but it seems to have healed itself. I don't see no problems with it at the moment. Good thing about genuine leather right there. So here's what I want to do, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this. It's just that, and I've said this 100 times before, but you know, the more I got to thinking about it, it's kind of both. I don't know how to explain it. I've said this before. People, let's read 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Now, over here in America, we love this verse. We love it. We do. And I've been driving down the street, and I've seen people with, you know, how little yard sign like you put up during campaign season, but it was like one of those little yard sign things, and it had this verse in it, you know, American flags and stuff on it, whatnot. And we love this verse in America. American Christians love this verse. The thing is, this verse is not to us. It is not to America. It is not to the church, period, at all. It says, if my people. Who is my people? This is God speaking. Who is my people? It's the Jews. The Jews, this is a promise to the nation of Israel, to the Jewish people. It's for them. It ain't for us. And I've said that before, and a bunch of other people have said it. And I saw a post somebody made about it the other day, and that's what got me thinking about it. That is 100% correct. This is a promise from God to the Jews. Don't got nothing to do with Americans. Don't got nothing to do with the church, Christians, etc., etc. Don't have nothing to do with that. It is not a promise to us. However, now that you're, jumping off your chair, I noticed, older American Christians are that way. But if you're jumping off your chair all mad, however, no, there's a however here. Knowing what you know about God. I'm sorry about the hand thing, but I've just been doing that a lot lately. Knowing what you know about the nature of God. Now, this is a promise to the Jewish people. We know that. We've said that 100 times. It is not a promise to us. But consider this. If our nation, or your nation, whatever nation you live in, did the things in this verse. If my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves. So if we humbled ourselves. And pray and seek my face. If we prayed and seek God's face. And turn from our wicked ways. If we did that. Then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal. Now, not for us. But knowing what you know about God. If we did this as a nation, do you think he wouldn't do those things? Like, I'm not saying he would. Grant, don't listen to this and be like, oh, this guy. I'm not saying he would. He's not promised to do that. He's promised to do it for Israel, not for us. But if we did these same things, wouldn't he do that for us? I mean, knowing what we know about the nature of God, would he not do that for us? I don't know, is what I'm saying. I don't know, but knowing what I know about the nature of God that I have gathered from reading the Word of God, it seems very probable that he would do the same thing for us if we humbled ourselves and seek his face and turn from our wicked ways. It seemed like he would do that for us as well. So that's why I don't jump on people when they use this verse out of context and put it in their yard sign and whatnot. And I want to go, oh, that's not for you, that's for Jews. Okay, it is. But who's to say God wouldn't do this for any nation that did the same thing? Knowing what you know about God's nature. Who knows? I don't know. Now, do I think America is going to do these things? No, I don't. Some people be, oh, revival could break out in America at any time now and everybody could get right. It could. I'm not saying God can't do something, because I don't want to say God can't do something. But I don't see it happening. I think we're headed toward the second coming, and I don't think America is about to hit the brakes, or the world for that matter. I don't think we're about to hit the brakes anytime soon. So I don't really think there's any I don't really think that's going to happen. That America is just going to have a revival break out and people are going to be getting saved left and right, and this nation is just going to turn it around. I don't really think that's going to happen. But if it did, I wonder if God would do the same thing that says here, hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal their land. I think he would, knowing what I know about the nature of God. But it is not promised. This promise is to the Jewish people. So that's all I wanted to say about that. Yes, people use it out of context, but who's to say God wouldn't do the same thing for any nation who did that? Who knows? I don't know. But let's go ahead and get into the main topic. AW Tozer. So I managed to get a whole page. I didn't really think I was going to get that much. That's the thing when you go looking for these preachers, especially like actual good preachers, there's not a whole lot of information on them, especially our independent fundamental Baptist type preachers. Not a whole lot of, like, they're super famous as far as IFBs are concerned, but as far as the rest of the world is concerned, they don't want nothing to do with them. So it's hard to find some information on. Now, this guy's not independent fundamental Baptist. And when I first started doing the biographies way back in the day, when we were just audio podcasts, I said I only wanted to really do Baptist. But we did do a couple people that weren't Baptist and whatnot. So I like AW Tozer, so we're going to do him. Somebody mentioned on Facebook page about doing Spurgeon. Now, Spurgeon's somebody I could find a whole lot on. So one of these days when I'm not pressed for time like I was this week, we're going to do Spurgeon. But until then, we're going to do AW Tozer, because I like AW Tozer. Aidan Wilson Tozer. In case you were sitting there wondering what the AW stood for. Aidan Wilson Tozer, born April 21st, 1897, in La Jose, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce that, La Jose, Pennsylvania, which is not called La Jose no more. It's called Newburgh, Pennsylvania. And not a whole lot about his childhood, but he worked in a tire shop in Akron, Ohio. Apparently his parents moved to Akron when he was a teenager. And he worked in a tire shop when he was a teenager, a Goodyear, another site said. It was a Goodyear tire shop. On his way home from work one day, he heard a street preacher say, "If you don't know how to be saved, just call on God, saying, 'Lord, be merciful to me, a sinner.'" So, street preacher. He then went home, climbed into the attic, and did as the preacher said. Saved in 1914. They didn't say that. I did the math. Saved about 1914, he got saved. So if you're a street preacher, don't think you're not reaching somebody, because A.W. Tozer got saved because of a street preacher. Now, granted, there's different kinds of street preaching you can do. I don't want to get off on this topic too much, but when I was a kid, they'd go stand on the corner at a busy intersection and preach. I don't think there's much good in doing that. Now, if you're going to stand on the actual street where there's people walking around, that makes more sense. But stand on a busy intersection where people are going by, it's Florida, so they got their windows up most of the time with the air conditioner on, the radio up. They can't hear what you're saying. But people walking on all up and down the sidewalk, that makes a whole lot more sense. So in 1919, 5 years after he got saved, no formal education whatsoever, accepted an offer to pastor a small storefront church in Nutterfort, that's what it said, Nutterfort, West Virginia. Now, he was a denomination I ain't never heard of, Christian and Missionary Alliance. Now, granted, you might be watching this, oh, you ain't heard of that. Well, I ain't heard of it till now. But Christian and Missionary Alliance spent his entire ministry in that denomination, which I've never heard of. He was married to Ada Cecilia Fouts. I'm assuming P-F-A-U-T-Z, Fouts. And apparently they got married just before, not too long before, he took that pastor job in West Virginia. They had 7 children, 6 boys, and 1 girl. And she was the youngest. The girl was the youngest one. Feel sorry for her. Never owned a car. Never owned a car. They took the train or the bus. Didn't believe in material possessions and such like that. And all his book royalties, I don't know if it didn't say he gave all of them, but his book royalties, he gave pretty much most of it away to needy people. Because y'all know he wrote a bunch of books, right? So after that, he pastored Southside Alliance Church in Chicago for 30 years, from 1928 to 1959. And the church grew from 80 to 800 members while he was there. Pastored Avenue Road Church in Toronto, Ontario, Sorry, Canadians. Canada from 1959 until he died. In May 1950, he became the editor of Alliance Weekly, which is now called Alliance Life, which is like the official magazine of the denomination. I'm assuming it didn't say that, but common sense would say. Published 60 plus books. Most of the books he published were actually published after his death, and people would just kind of put sermons and stuff he wrote together, articles and stuff he wrote together. The best known books, and you've probably heard of these, The Pursuit of God and The Knowledge of the Holy. Two of the books he wrote there are considered classics. I have both of them on my shelf somewhere over there, but I got both of them. What is it? The Pursuit of God? Yeah, The Pursuit of God is on my Kindle. I'm just about done reading it. Died of a heart attack May 12th, 1963. That was about, I think, that was a year after my mom was born, I think. His grave marker simply says, AW Tozer, a man of God. It is said he spent more time on his knees than at his desk. He had no formal education at all. Never went to college. Never went to seminary. How about them apples? That's why I quit going to school. Part of the reason. That's why I quit going to Liberty as of, like a month ago. I stopped going last year, and then I was like, you know what? We're going to get back in there. We're going to do it. And the more I did it, the more I was like, this is dumb. Like, I'm not saying that going to college is dumb. I'm just looking at it like, I just ain't for me. Like, I want to go to school, I just don't think liberal arts college is for me. I want to learn the Bible. I don't want to learn about all this other junk are teaching me. I don't care. I want to learn about the Bible. So I'm probably just going to find some small little Bible college and go there and spend the next 10 years paying that money back. But anyway, that is neither here nor there. That just goes to show you, self-educated. I love self-education. Now, as long as you're prodding your topics and whatnot. But nothing wrong with being self-educated. That's another thing I started thinking about. I could just all the books I got on my shelf that I ain't read. How educated I could be if I just would read them instead of a stupid philosophy textbook. But anyway, 20th century prophet was what he was known as. Part of the reason his books are still popular today is because he was trying to warn the church of encroaching worldliness, something I do often on this podcast, that has today become a full-fledged epidemic. See, back then, he was trying to warn people, like, hey, I see the church turn into worldliness, and worldliness is starting to creep in. And, I'm sure back then, I wasn't alive, so I don't know, but I'm sure back then they're like, oh, whatever. And now look at the church. Now look at it. You just look back and go like, hey, he was right. He was right. We didn't listen. So I got some quotes here from him. Some of his most popular quotes. Seriously, Sunday school lessons and sermons I preached. There's at least one sermon I know I preached that has a quote from him in it, and I know a couple of Sunday school lessons I taught that got a quote from him in it. But this is two of his most famous ones. What comes into our minds when we think about God is the most important thing about us. And then, to be right with God has often meant to be in trouble with men or the world, whichever way you want to put it. So I hope you know a little bit more about A.W. Tozer now. Maybe especially go check out them two books. I haven't read, what's the one I said? The Knowledge of the Holy. I have it on the shelf, but I haven't read it yet. But Pursuit of God's pretty good. So he wasn't a Baptist, wasn't an independent fundamental Baptist, like I am. But Real recognize real, as they say. He's a good preacher. And I was listening to one of his sermons today, actually, on the podcast app. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get out of here now. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/gospelovergimmicks. And that's how you'll know about things like giveaways. Now, granted, I started doing giveaways on YouTube as well. But if you don't watch me on YouTube and you're just listening to the audio, like that, then you can go to Facebook and you'll know about contests and whatnot. Instagram. Go to Instagram, open up your search bar there, type in @gospelovergimmicks. It'll bring up the Instagram page. And then you'll be the first to know what's coming up on next Monday's episode, which you already know at this point because I just told you. But, just in case. Twitter, @GXT_ministries. Not much going on over there. I just don't get on there much. But when I upload to Spreaker the audio, it posts to Twitter automatically. So, email. You want to send me an email. You got an idea for a show topic. You got a question about something. You want to know more about how to be saved. What is this being saved stuff? Email. gospelovergimmicks@gmail.com. If you need to do that, of course, you can just message me on Facebook if you want to. But email seems pretty outdated at this point. But I'll put it up there anyway. Patreon. So I just realized, I told y'all last week that my account was under review for suspicious activity. And I just realized, because I looked at the email, it's been a month. It's been a month. They said they would get back to me in 1 to 2 business days, and it's been a month. So you better believe I just fired off an email to them. Like, hey, y'all said my account was under review, and you said you'd get back to me in 1 to 2 days. It's been a month. What's going on over there? So we'll see what they say when they replied. Hopefully they answer me back. Oh, that's patreon.com/gospelovergimmicks if you want to donate to help support the podcast, the ministry, because we do other things. Ministry. Or if we're going to do other things, that's for dang sure. Next season, we're going to do something ministerial. I don't know what it is yet, but we're going to do something. Patrons, Joanna Garrett, Roger Waters, Leanna Williams, and Rusty Williams is our patrons, and they're wonderful people. They are. Roger Waters is a little sketchy, but he's okay too. You can listen to the audio. This is something I never mentioned, and I should, because it's a podcast. But you can listen to the audio, which technically is what a podcast is supposed to be. It just happens that I record myself recording the audio, so put it on YouTube. But you can listen to the audio on Spreaker, because that's who hosts the podcast, iTunes, Podcast Addict, and there's probably more. I don't know. If there is more, let me know, because that's the only 3 I know about. I'm going to see about getting on Spotify and Google Podcast at some point. I don't know how that works, but we'll try and figure it out. And that's all I got for you this week. Hope it was good. I know Biography is a little bit short. Actually, it was just kind of 2 short segments. We put them together. We made it work. Because we're a team. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Edit this up real quick and get right back to doing the Acts 2 Bible study. So stay tuned for that next week. Until next week, take up your cross. Carry on. On the wings of a snow white dove,